Good morning. It's day 5 of AMI. We just heard the president speak yesterday, and he is increasing social distancing to April 30th. Our governor is having a press conference today at 1. You can catch that on YouTube if you would like. My guess is that school will also be social distancing until then. The packets that were sent home, if you've picked them up already, they are bigger than the ones that got sent home on the past Friday. Of course, the first ones we did were with optimism that we would be back quickly, and we could just pick up where we left off. The new packets were a little bit more realistic. They have the math in there. They have a page of social studies. They have literacy, and they also have some science in there. So they are bigger. Space it out. Don't sit down and try to do it all at once, and you'll be okay. We also had the thought that we would be taking the state assessment when we ran those packets off, and then as we got done running them all off, they said that was canceled. So if we don't go back on April 20th, there will be more packets, and those will probably be a little bit smaller because we won't necessarily be preparing for benchmark, and it'll be winding the school year down. We do miss you guys. This is not necessarily fun for me either. Me and the dogs are going stir crazy. We'll just see what happens. Today in math is lesson 13, and it's wanting you to assess the fractions and see if you can tell if they're greater than or less than 1/2. And then I think the last one is just you're comparing the two statements side by side. A lot of this is you have to have a little bit of fraction sense and be able to tell if the fraction is close to 0, if it's close to half, or if it's close to 1. All right? So if you look at the homework problem, number 1A, it says 1/2 plus 4/9, and it wants to know if it's greater than 1 or less than 1. Okay, so this first one's easy. We can understand what half of something is. Okay, now 4/9. What are we doing here? Okay, if we put this on a number line, would it be closer to 0 or would it be closer to 1? Okay, it's kind of in the middle when we look at it. If we did half of 9, it would be 4.5. Okay? If we did half of it, it would be 4.5. 4 plus 4 is 8, and a half is a whole. So that would give us the 9. So this is actually a tiny bit smaller than 1/2. Okay? So when we look at this, it will be 1/2 plus something that's slightly smaller than a half. All right? And so when we come over to our answer choices, the technical answer is less than half. It's just you using your best judgment. Okay, that's all this is. The next one is 5/8 plus 3/5. Okay, 5/8 plus 3/5. We know what half of 8 is. Half of 8 is 4, so this is clearly here larger than a half. Half of 5 is 2.5. Okay, 3 is larger than 2.5. So a half plus a half is, or a little bit more than a half here. These are going to be greater than 1 because you look at your denominator to tell what the halfway point would be. Okay, so the first one, this one is going to be slightly less than 1. Okay, this one here is going to be greater than 1. All right, in number 2. In number 2, it says 1/5 plus 1/4. And it wants to know if it's greater than a half or less than a half. So this is getting a little bit more exact on this one. But what is 1/5 close to? It's close to 0, okay? And 1/4 is also close to 0. So if we were to change these and add these together, half of 5 is 2.5 and half of 4 is 2. So if we were going to add these together, we're going to get a sum that is less than a half, okay? We're going to get a sum that's less than a half. This isn't an exact science, okay? This is just do your absolute best on this, all right? If you physically want to change the denominators to find out if it is less than half or greater than half, you can do that. I don't care. Use your skills, okay? We know if we were going to change these to the same denominator, we would have 20 as our denominator, okay? And then when we had that, it would be 4 over 20 and 5 over 20, and 5 plus 4 is 9, okay? 9/20 is less than half, because what's half of 20? It's 10, okay? So going down to question number 3, okay? Down here to number 3. Then it wants to know greater than, less than, or equal to. All right? Some of these you can kind of tell just by how big the mixed number is. Okay? So that's the question there. 5 and 4/5, this is almost 6. And 2 and 2/3, that's almost 3. Okay? So we want to know if it's bigger than 8 and 3/4. Well, 6 plus 3 is 9, and 9 is bigger than 8 and 3/4. Now, is there a chance this could be equal because we rounded up? Sure. Okay? Am I going to count all of these wrong because you've done your best? Now, when you do this, again, you could make these denominators the same if you want to. 5 and 3 and make them 15. And you could really figure this out for real. But a lot of this is just estimation. It wants to see if you're thinking along the right lines. Are you taking these fractions here that are beside your whole number and going, okay, that's going to make this almost 3 whole. This one here is going to make this almost 6 wholes. All right, so if I had to guess, I would say that this is larger than that. Now, again, it's not an exact science. This is 8 and 3/4. This is almost 9 if I looked at it that way. Okay, so if I looked at it in this way, okay, oh, those are P's, but let me fix that. No, is that a P now? I don't know. It'll be all right. They could be equal. So it just depends on how you reason it out. All right. Let me see if there's another page. Is it true that 5 and 2/3 minus 3 and 3/4 is equal to 1 plus 2/3 plus 3/4? Proves your answer. Make all your denominators the same. Add it up and really see. Okay. Then you got problem 5. A tree limb hangs 5 1/4 from the telephone wire. The city trims back the stuff. Will they allow the tree to grow 2 3/4 more feet? All you have to do is add it up. You know how to make your denominators the same. Just because it's got a whole number hasn't changed anything. We've been practicing all this. Okay? Not a big deal. All right, y'all got this. We practiced some of this last week. Now, when you start the packets for next week, they're much easier. You're going to be, oh, I love you, Miss Robinette. Okay? All we're doing here is getting our brains refreshed so we can continue doing work just to get you ready for 6th grade. Things that you're going to need to know to make it there. Okay? How we need to make fractions have the same denominators. He says, I want to be part of the video, Mama. I'm walking around. So, there's your friends. You see them over there? don't want to talk to you guys. I don't want to talk. Anyway, I don't know what to tell you. We're just going to survive it together. And then if we end up not coming back to school this year, you can come visit me next year when you're sixth graders. I do love you, and I'll try to put some more trivia on Facebook. The only person that loves me really and has been responding is Bryce, but that's okay. I'll try to find something more because we like doing trivia in the classroom, so I was trying to do something fun trivia with you. Y'all continue to stay safe and stay home, hopefully, and maybe this will all pass and we'll get to all see each other again soon. Talk to you later. Bye.